Okay, here are some ideas about how to properly set up a baseball practice so that you build your team and the skill of your team efficiently and practically and quickly. General thoughts. Baseball practice should be well planned. Unfortunately, I think a lot of practices are not planned at all. We all know about the practice where one kid's hitting and 15 other players are standing around watching him hit, shagging balls lazily, talking to each other, not focused, not really doing anything. We all know about the baseball practices that last for hours and hours and hours, are unfocused and a waste of time. You have to teach your players how to practice. You need to plan. You need to have time segments in practice. I believe in a focused practice that is done at pace with little 5, 10, 15-minute segments for the most part. I believe in training the players to do fast transitions, um, having the players trained on what jobs they have to do the transition, that everyone participates in the transition, moving cages around, bats, balls, whatever it may be. I believe that um, as many people as possible should be involved in the practice, practicing their skills. Less people watching, the better. And that everyone, regardless of age or ability level, should participate in helping taking stuff down and moving stuff so it happens as quickly as possible. Here are the parts that I believe of a effective baseball practice. You should have obviously a warm-up or throwing segment, but that may be different than you expect. You should have skill development, drill work for both hitting and fielding. You should practice at least one mental situation a day, whether that be base running or fielding situation, bunt coverages, first and third, fly ball communication, etc. You should get many repetitions. I think I look for about 100 repetitions a day on hitting and fielding, and then you need live on the field reps with in-game like situations. Here's a sample practice plan. Of course, starting out with warm-ups, I believe warm-ups should be brief. So many times I see players and teams warm up for 30, 45 minutes and waste half their practice with a team, a detailed, lazy, unfocused team stretch, and then they toss the ball back and forth, playing catch with no real focus, no real purpose. I believe players should get themselves warmed up, stretched out quickly, and then we should start throwing and throwing with purpose. And by throwing with purpose, I mean we're throwing the ball flat like we would in a game. And we are hitting spots. We are hitting the guy in the chest. We're throwing the ball with pace and speed. We're being accurate, and we are systematically moving farther and farther back, developing arm strength, getting done what we need. Pitchers hitting specific spots the whole way. Accuracy with throwing is a huge thing. We're getting our feet involved, all of that. This should happen quickly. It should be focused. There should not be a lot of chit chat. I think a coach should be on the field. Oftentimes coaches are chit-chatting themselves or not even out in the field while the team's throwing, and guys are going to mess around and not take it seriously. That's why we have so many throwing errors. That's why we have people with weak arms. That's why we have pitchers that can't hit spots, in my opinion. After that, so that should take about 10 minutes to throw properly. 5 to 10 minutes of focused defensive drill work. Infielders doing what I call the Ozzie Smith drills, working on short hops, backhands, and these are actually done on one knee or both knees sometimes. There's different ways to do it. You can look up infield drills, but they need to be doing focused infield drills, going over the fundamentals of fielding the baseball, while the outfield is doing basic drills, over-the-shoulder drills, working on coming in, working on how to deal with the sun, working on how to field a grounder, how to do a proper quick crow hop, how to field the ball off the wall, how to communicate with each other, those type of things. So 5 to 10 minute quick of that a day, and then we move on to getting our defensive reps. And I like mass fungal best for this. That's where all the coaches grab fungals and maybe even some pitchers that do not play a position. And we are hitting fungals all over the field. The infielders are taking ground balls. Hopefully you have 2 or 3 fungals going on the infield. One at third, one for your shortstop. You have people at each position. And it's one after another. And you're working on infield in, infield back, short hops, backhands, forehands. And then at the same time in the outfield, you have people hitting fly balls to the outfield, working on communication, working coming in, going back, working on all the different fly balls that you would catch in the sun, into the wind, with the wind, all these repetitions. 15 minutes, one after another. You should have someone feeding the ball to the people, and it's just quick. Lots and lots of reps, trying to get 100 reps per player in 15 minutes if possible. Next, work on one situation. Pick one a day, and work on it at the same time. If you're working on first and third, work on the base running portion of it the same way as you work on the defensive portion. Have guys rotate from offense to defense and do it live once you teach it. Repeat it, and these should repeat these throughout the season. You should not work on first to third or bunt coverages one time in the season. You should work on it, probably once every 2 weeks at least. Keep repeating it so you don't make the mental mistakes that are going to cost the team victories. So, situations first and third, bunt coverages, certain base running situations, certain hitting situation, getting bunts down, infield outfield communication. These are situations that you need to practice. Cutoffs, things like that. And you just rotate that. Do one a day and rotate that for 15 minutes. It may take a little bit longer than the first time you put it in, but once you do that, you should, it might be shorter than 15 minutes. Just go over it real quick. Next, I maybe work on hitting reps. And I like to do a station system like that. Mark the players into groups of 2 to 3, 4, whatever, and you just have stations all over the field. Of course, the more cages you have, some people have indoor hitting facilities, the better. The more stations you can have. Working on your bunting in one station, maybe you're working on long tee, drill work, hitting wiffle balls. I've done a video about the benefits of hitting wiffle balls and wiffle golf balls. Hand-eye coordination work, cage work, on-the-field work. You may have a couple stations of throwing or standing front tossed in the cages. I do not like players taking a lot of reps into fences or into nets that are real close. I like to see the ball fly a little bit so we can see if we're hitting the ball squarely, whether we're popping it up. So a lot of times in the cage or close, players will think they're really hitting the ball well, and all they're doing is dropping their shoulder and popping the ball up. So we really want to use long tee on the field. You want to use the full length of the cage, or at least half the cage. You can see the ball fly. You want to use wiffle balls because you can see them fly properly. And then you may actually have on-field hitting as one of your stations, where maybe you get 5-10 cuts on the field. And of course, one of your stations can be a couple of stations can be actually fielding the ball and shagging the balls as well. And so that way you can get a lot of reps. You want to get about 100 reps a day, and they need to be quality reps. You have to train your team to take quality reps and take everything seriously, and you incorporate the drills that you need to work on what your team needs to work on. If you hit on the field, I really like to have one person in each position fielding. I don't like to have groups of people and people going to their positions. I don't like to have people just standing around or in groups. I want them focused, fielding the balls live off the bat, getting quality defensive reps as well. So that's 30 to 40 minutes there. In the last 30 to 40 minutes of practice, I really want live reps. I want to be as live and realistic as possible. I like a full scrimmage. I like a scrimmage. If you don't have a pitcher that's ready to throw, you might need to, it really works effectively just to put a screen out and have a coach throw batting practice as a live scrimmage. So you have a catcher, you have everybody in their positions, you have the hitter is live, he's having an at-bat. I like to start the at-bat either 1-1 or 2-2 in action counts, where there's less action, less balls being taken, etc. The coach is the umpire, no questions asked, you just play. And you can go through all your situations there. With live base runners, and it's competitive, it's fun, it's baseball. Another thing you can do for live reps is I call it the 21 or the 27 out game, where basically you take some kids are base runners, the coach hits fungal, and that way you can really demonstrate. Instead of having a live hitter, the coach will hit a fungal, and you can hit it wherever you want and get people involved. You can build the situations you want, and basically I'll talk more about this, but the fielders have to get 27 outs, and then they can have penalties for every error they make within that. Maybe you have a limit 1 or 2 errors per 21 outs, 27 outs, and then maybe you run or do a penalty, or maybe you have 2 teams doing it, and whoever wins or loses gets a prize or a reward or a penalty. This is competitive, it's interesting, and you can see how the players react in more game-like situations with more pressure. You should have full-out base running during this, people running the bases, and that's how you get your conditioning within practice without having to do conditioning after practice. How do you get the pitchers involved might be a good question. Your pitchers will work in their bullpens, they're training, they're running within all these other things, and also can hit fungo, and of course many of them are position players as well, so they can get all that. You can figure out how to work all that in. But my final thoughts, this is a full practice in about 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's not a 2.5, 3 hour practice, and you're getting a lot done. It's all about pace and focus and the players knowing what's expected of them. And If the coach is organized and orderly and demands pace and focus, you can get a lot done in a short practice, in a baseball practice, and your team's going to be a lot better and have a big advantage of the people you play.